It's coming your...
Welcome to another edition of Diva Diaries. I am your host, Sojo Bold, aka Josie. Whatever name you want to use today is fine with me. I am here with one of the most popular new girls on the wrestling scene. Yeah, Allysin K.
Hello.
And you could say hello to either camera because this one's actually on you and this one's on both of us.
Hello.
There you go. There you go. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Super excited to do this interview actually because I have never wrestled you, but we have worked a lot of shows together, and you are just something different, and nothing wrong with being different. Oh my goodness.
I'll take that as a compliment.
That is a compliment. That is a compliment. And a lot of times in professional wrestling, not even just wrestling, just in entertainment in general, we have a lot of cookie cutter girls who look very similar, same shape, same hair, same moveset, very interchangeable. And I think you are definitely somebody who stood out and has kind of created their own character and kind of done things their own way, which is very refreshing. Thank you.
Thank you.
What I want to do is get started, just talk about your life, where you came from, what molded you to be a professional wrestler, and what got you to this point. So if you could just start, just tell us where you're from and what your background is.
From Detroit.
Okay.
I think a lot of people that follow me know that already. Let's see. Do you have any specific questions about?
Like, what was your childhood like? Brothers, sisters, mom, dad? Were you an active child? Were you in a lot of activities? Were you athletic? Were you theatrical?
Okay.
What was your child life?
I do have 3 younger siblings, so I'm the oldest of 4. 2 younger brothers, 1 younger sister. Both of my brothers actually cage fight, and my sister doesn't do anything, so she's the odd one out of all of us. My father was Bad News Brown. I don't know if you're familiar.
Okay, awesome.
And my mother, we don't speak of her because I don't really know who she is, but that's beside the point. I was an active child. I got to go to a very, very privileged school in Detroit. If you weren't aware, there are a lot of privileged schools in Detroit. And I participated in all sports, all seasons. All seasons I was in a sport. Volleyball, softball, tennis. I played baseball over the summer. So just all year round I was playing sports.
Awesome.
I actually broke my collarbone playing baseball with the boys. I was maybe 15 or 16, and I was first baseman or first base woman.
There you go.
And shortstop threw me the ball. I don't know if you're familiar with baseball.
A little bit.
Okay, so the shortstop threw me the ball, and instead of watching the runner, I was watching the ball, and he threw it. He didn't know how to throw. I mean, we were kids, whatever. And I'm running through the baseline to catch this ball, and instead of this runner, he could have stopped, let me run past, and walked to first base and still made it. But instead, he decided to just tackle me like that. And I just remember my arm swung around like this, and I landed on the ground. And I got up, and I didn't know anything happened. And my coach is like, just shake it off, just, warm up a little bit. So we paused, and I'm throwing back and forth to the shortstop. And I'm doing this, and I'm not kidding you. I couldn't lift either of my arms. And I was throwing like that. And I'm like, I think something's wrong. And so he's like, okay, we're just going to put you in right field. So we only had 9 players, and you have to have a minimum of 9 to continue playing. And he didn't want to forfeit. So I am put in right field, and of course a ball gets hit out there. Which I don't think a ball was hit out there the whole game, but you know how it goes.
Yeah.
So the ball comes to me, and center had to come get it for me because I'm like running like this. I'm like, I can't throw it. So it was terrible. And then I went to the hospital and found out my collarbone was broken clean in half.
Okay.
So the x-rays looked like this. And I think that is probably why I didn't feel any pain, because it wasn't a fracture. It was just like
Clean break.
done. Yeah. That was terrible. But I learned a lot from it, and it was like a foreshadowing in my career, I guess, later on when my nose was broken.
Okay.
But I'm sure we'll get to that later.
Oh, we will.
So, what else about childhood? I was a wrestling fan ever since I was little, of course, for my father. I watched a lot of wrestling with him.
Okay.
I was actually trained by him, so that explains a lot.
Incredible.
I think. I know.
Yeah.
I was thinking about bringing back the Ghetto Blaster, but I don't really leave my feet a lot anymore.
Okay.
I mean, I did when I was young, and I mean, I still am young, but, and it's not like I'm that experienced, I guess, compared to a lot of people, but when I was first starting training, I would jump off of things, and no, why? You don't win like that. Sorry,
That's good advice.
I'm
That's
getting
good
off track.
advice.
I'm getting off track.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'll bring you back around. No
Okay.
worries. No worries.
Is there anything else about childhood?
Did you do anything? I always ask, were you theatrical? Did you do any kind of acting or role playing? Debate, speech, team, things like that? Were you like just like a natural performer? I mean, obviously, being in sports, you're on. Definitely, people are watching. But I find a lot of female wrestlers or wrestlers in general have some kind of theatrical bone in them, which makes them want to be the center of attention.
I wouldn't say that I was. I never had that desire to be the center of attention as a child. I was pretty introverted. I wasn't shy. I just didn't feel like talking to people. And actually, that's kind of how I am today as well. So I'll speak to people as I feel necessary, but why waste my time and energy on people who I don't really like?
I
So
completely agree. Right.
so that's how I've always felt about that. I actually did take acting classes when I was younger, but it was for such a short time that I barely remember it. It was, I used to call it kiddie college. I used to say, I'm going to college, and I don't even know how old I was. I must have been like 9 or 10, maybe even younger, and I don't know how long it lasted. I think my mom put me in it because, actually, I want to take that out because I said I don't talk about my mom.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. We'll cut that. We'll cut it.
I'm sorry. So, my parents put me in this college and for acting classes, and I remember we were, I guess, training for a play, and I was never in the play, so I think I was in it for a very short time.
Okay.
I was put in it because I wanted to be in it, and then I guess one day I just said I don't want to go, and they're like, okay.
Okay.
So that was that, and so I wouldn't count that as any experience really, but that did happen. Is weird. What else? One unknown fact about me is I was actually in an underground hip hop group in Detroit.
Really?
Called AK-47 and the Grenades.
Wow.
Yes. And
What I hate to say, what part did you play? I mean, what were you? Just one of the rappers? Were you a dancer? Were you the beatboxer?
No, I tried beatboxing, but it just isn't for me. It just didn't work out.
It's really easy.
I wasn't good at it.
It's really easy.
Really?
Yeah. Just say boots and cats.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Where were you back in the day?
With my own
I
hip hop
could've used
trio,
you.
like we can work on that later.
Okay.
We can research your
The rapping,
hip-hop career.
the rapping, I got you though.
Okay. Awesome, because I'm a terrible rapper.
We should.
I feel like something is brewing here.
You can be my grenade.
Awesome. I'd love to be your grenade. That's awesome. So, growing up, you had all these different, athletic and, other experiences. Did you have a career path in mind for yourself? Did you have any idea what you wanted to be when you grew up?
The only thing, and I'm not just saying this, the only thing I ever wanted to be is a professional wrestler. And I mean that.
That's amazing.
I was a fan since I was young. Like I said, I watched with my dad, and I think around age maybe 11 or 12 is when I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And I was obsessed. It was like gross.
Wow. And
like,
who were you watching? Like who?
This was like Attitude Era.
Okay.
So I was obsessed with like the Hardy Boys and Lita. Okay.
We all were.
I think I was trying to think of this the other day. Like, who was my first? I think the first person I was ever like obsessed with, like crush wise, I guess, is because that's how it is when you're like 12, was Val Venus.
Yeah.
It's very inappropriate for that age.
But he was trying to grab you like that.
Yeah. I know. Putting things in my mind, I didn't even know what it was.
What
I
am
was
I
just
feeling
like,
right now? Why is he doing that? I like it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Val Venus. And then I think I had like a thing for Stone Cold at one point.
Okay.
But then it went on to like Jeff Hardy.
Sure. And did you have was your favorites always? There was some people always had like a breakdown of like, oh, this person was super entertaining, but I really liked the way that this person wrestled. Like, was it just Val Venus your total package, or like?
I guess so.
I liked Lita's character, but Molly Holly was the complete wrestler.
Yeah.
And that's who I love.
And
to
what's
watch.
so funny is now I see that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first started training, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch some matches online, and I'm looking up Lita, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, you were cute.
Yeah.
Not saying that she was a terrible wrestler or anything. It's just I now can see like, wow, Molly Holly and Jazz. Oh my gosh, this is so great. And then Lita's fun,
Yeah.
jumping off stuff.
Yeah.
Jumping off
Jumping
stuff.
off stuff. you know, getting over with the underwear and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a place for everybody. That's what I always say. There's a place for everybody, and that's why we all help each other.
Oh, I loved, and I'm not trying to knock Lita because I loved me some Lita, and I'm not playing. Like posters. You know, I had a subscription to WWF at the time magazine and Raw magazine. I don't even know if they still give those out. I think it's just WWE
Just
magazine.
WWE magazine.
Okay, so I had both of those subscriptions, and I wish I didn't do this, but I ripped off all the covers, and I put them as a border around my ceiling.
Wow.
And then it got too big, and I had to start going onto my ceiling. And any of those cutout posters in the middle, you know, like the fold outs they would have, any one that they put in there was on my wall.
Wow.
I had one of Stacy Keibler who was like turned around like this and just in a G-string. I cut out a smiley face, put it over her ass, because I'm like, this is weird, but I want it on my wall because that was just like an obsession. And I would cut up all the magazines and put like little pictures on my wall. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
I had a lot of time as a kid. I missed that.
But you know, when you're passionate about it as a kid, that's the kind of stuff you do.
Yeah.
You know, you cut out the pictures, you put them up on the wall, you argue with your parents. Why are you putting holes in the wall? Why are you putting tape on the paint?
Yeah.
Because I have to have wallpaper.
I have to have every single. Yeah. That's how it was. It
Awesome.
was. And do you remember those? At one point, they came out with a magazine that was just posters. Like you ripped them out and they all unfolded.
Yes.
Yeah, I had those on my ceiling too.
Fantastic. Did you collect any of the figures or any other merch? Yeah.
I still have. Oh, I forgot about one of my obsessions. This is actually something that Jessica and I bonded over when we first met. Road Dogg. I was obsessed with Road Dogg, and I still have 2 of his action figures in the box. If anyone wants to hit me up.
Oh, hey. Hey. Cornrows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. From Detroit, okay?
That's fantastic. I think he'd be happy to hear that too. He's like, yes, that was hot.
Jessica and I actually were on a show with him at Cleveland All Pro, and we were both really awkward about it because I'm like, this is really weird, and you're probably gonna be like, what the hell's wrong with you? But I used to love Road Dogg, and she was like, me too, and I'm like, really? What? Like, even though I'm like, why? And it's just, I guess he was just so entertaining.
He was.
And we're in this locker room where it's like there was a separate locker room, and then there was this room that branched off into 2 locker rooms, but smaller. So the girls had one, Road Dogg and his friends or whatever had the other one.
Okay.
And we were in like the hallway of it because nobody was in there. And Jessica's going, suck it, suck it. And she's like joking, you know, like doing the knee thing. And he walks in. And I turn over, and I think he just went like this and just turned away. But I mean, he was like laughing about it, but that was funny. And it was perfect.
And how long ago was that? Like, that was pretty early in your career.
That must have been 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really
Well,
early.
you know, he is sober now, and I think he could appreciate that a whole lot more. That's awesome. So, when did you exactly start training? Like, when did the decision? I mean, your dad. I mean, obviously didn't shelter you from it and say you can't do it.
Right.
So let's get you trained right. So what was that like?
Surprisingly, I actually didn't start training as young as I could have. Like, I wish that I would have started going when I was like 16 or 17 or 18, but I didn't start until I was about 20, which isn't too old or anything to start training. But looking back, a part of me wishes, I wish I would have started even younger, because who knows what I could have accomplished at this point. But at the same time, I feel like if I would have started when I was younger, who knows who would have gotten a hold of my mind and I don't know, persuaded me to go one way or the other, and I could be a complete wreck right now.
Absolutely. Because a lot of people get into the business really young, and those tend to be the people who are a little more warped because their minds are so impressionable, and we all know the wrestling business can be a little filthy.
Yeah.
To put it in a nice way, a little filthy, maybe not for, you know, the young and impressionable. Yes. A lot of times, the older you are when you get into the business, the better you turn out, depending on your own choices. But 20 is a great age. I didn't start until I was 25. All right, so you started training. You decided you're going to do it. What were those first months like? What did you think?
I took a liking to it right away. And I feel that, I mean, it's hard for me to say this about myself because, of course, people are going to say this about themselves, but I feel like I was a natural at it, at least at the basics, compared to other people. Like, other people in the class just weren't getting it. And I was one of 2 girls in the class, so we were treated as the boys. But at the same time, I hear horror stories all the time about, like, people just, you know, getting their ass beat, or it's just terrible, and, like, the whole, I guess, hazing process is what it is. And we never really went through that, but we weren't treated as separate entities either. You know what I mean? So I enjoyed it. Like, it was rough, you know, but I feel like I caught on pretty fast, and I have too much pride to sit back and be like, oh, I'm afraid to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's why I started jumping off things sometimes.
It looks like a lot of fun. You know,
it does look like a lot of fun,
yeah.
and then you land and you're like, this isn't fun.
Or
Why?
you miss, or you slipped, and oh, maybe I don't want to do springboards anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just keep my feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with me, I'm like 5'10",
mm-hmm.
so I don't need to be jumping off things,
yeah.
you know? However, the girl that I trained with and the girl that I feuded with for like the first year of my career, she's probably 5'10", 5'11", okay. So it made sense. Okay. I'm like, okay, well, you're kind of bigger than me, so I'm just going to jump. Okay. Because that's just what you do, right?
Yeah. That's what girls do. We jump off stuff. Yeah.
Especially when the other person's bigger, you just jump. Just jump. That's the strategy, so.
Oh, this other girl, is she still wrestling?
She's not. Okay. She's not wrestling anymore. Her name is Siobhan Norell, and we feuded for, like I said, the first year of my career. And she stopped maybe a couple years in. She actually has 2 kids now. Okay. She's working on a degree, so she's doing very well for herself.
Good for her.
Yes.
Good for her. Good. Good. Okay, so you had your actual training partner in class. You guys came up together. Was that hard? You guys are probably at the same level as far as, you know, in the business. I mean, did you find that sometimes those kinds of matches are difficult just because it's easier for somebody who is new to work with somebody who is more experienced. Right. You guys are on the same level. Mm-hmm. Are you practicing matches ahead of time, or I mean, do you think you progressed at a normal rate working somebody just as green as yourself?
I wonder about that sometimes because I think she was only there for like a month or 2 before I started going, so we really were like pretty much even. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if, because I do know that when you're working with people that are more experienced, you obviously learn more. I feel that I learned a lot working with someone at the same level, but at the same time, it was difficult. When I look back on those matches now, I'm like, oh, okay, like that was just, ugh, you know? And neither of us knew any better. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we had our trainer to say, do this, do that, don't do that, but it was definitely a learning experience the hard way.
Mm-hmm. So there was somebody there to give you feedback and to help you with those. Yes. And did they help you put matches together, or did they give you like guidance on this is why we're doing this today, more like the psychology part of it, of why you're going out there and wrestling today?
Psychology was a huge thing in my training. That was like probably the main thing, and I think you can really see that today if you watch my matches. It was psychology that we were taught, and then early on working with this new girl, we learned early on right away, okay, this is what we do well, in which that was being rough. Like, we didn't mind being rough with each other, and we would be pretty rough with each other. Our first, I guess, training match that we had before our first show was, we were wearing hoodies and sweatpants and grass skirts. I don't know why. I think we just found them in the building. Nice. And it wasn't in front of an audience or anything, so it was just in front of the other wrestlers. And we slapped each other so hard in the face. Like, that was like the first, okay, we're going to slap each other. We slapped each other so hard and with the wrong part of our hand that I'm not kidding, my jaw was not aligned for a week. I couldn't bite down completely for an entire week. I'm so lucky that we didn't break each other's jaws. Yeah. That was crazy. So, but then we did learn on, like, early on, like, okay, well, we can be rough with each other, we don't mind. And people buy into that, you know? When you're hitting hard, or whatever you want to say, like, people buy into that. And if we don't know how to do this, well, we know how to do this. So it was that, plus let's tell a story, let's make it make sense, because that's what's going to draw people in and be interested in it. And that definitely shaped who I am today. Awesome. And I'm grateful for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think the more hard-hitting but safe is always a much better approach than...
And things happen, you know, especially if you're really throwing blows like that, you're gonna catch people every now and then. Yeah. But overall, yes, that's important.
So coming right out the gate, you were having really positive experience. You had an opponent that you could trust and that you were actually running in a feud right away, which is awesome, because a lot of times in female wrestling, you're just 2 girls, go out there and wrestle. Yeah. Now you're done, go home. Yep. A lot of times you don't get to be in a feud until you either have a home promotion, they bring somebody in and we're going to run a storyline, or if you have television or something like that. And that's awesome that they gave that to you right off the bat and really focused on the psychology of
we stretched it out.
Yeah.
Over a year.
Over a year.
And then I started wrestling guys. because that's who was there.
That's who was there.
Yeah, and they didn't really bring people into this place, so it was just whoever we have. That's who we have.
Okay.
And I did have a short feud with a guy. I think one of the matches is on YouTube, which I don't recommend. I'm not condoning YouTube because I hate YouTube. I hate everything that's on YouTube.
Oh.
I don't put any matches up myself. So any matches that are up is just like random fan cam or sometimes promotional. But usually I don't really approve because, it was early on in my career and I don't want to see that now. I don't want people to see that now.
Oh, yeah.
However, I will say that this match is on YouTube, and it was against Ryan Green in BCWA, which is a promotion that I trained with and that I started with. I had this long feud with. Ryan Green, it was... I think all the other guys I wrestled, it was just like a one-time thing, but I actually had a feud with him where the stipulation ended up being if I won, he had to wear a dress. He had to wrestle in a dress instead of his gear. And if he won, I forget what it was. It was something sexist, I'm sure. And in this match that's on YouTube, he goes to the top rope, and he's sitting, and then he goes, I think he's like falling off of the rope or falling off of the turnbuckle. And I almost don't want to give it away. I want you to see it, but I have to. I just have to tell you.
Okay, tell me.
His trunks get stuck on a hook or something, and he's upside down, and his trunks come off. And luckily, he was wearing underwear, like little tighty whities, and he's hanging upside down with just his ass hanging out, pretty much. And I have no idea what's going on. The ref has no idea what's going on, and that made the match.
That's phenomenally awesome, and I'm totally looking this up.
Yeah,
I'm totally looking this match up. Not the second, but I'm definitely.
No, I can't speak for the quality of that match. I don't even remember. I'm sure on my half it was terrible. It was very early in my career. However, that part makes it worth it. So.
Sounds great. And then I'm assuming that you won, so we got to see the dress.
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it was that match or later on. But that ended up happening.
You don't put a stipulation out there like that without following through. Come on.
How disappointing would that be?
Exactly. I want to see the dress. Awesome. So BCWA is the first promotion that you worked for steadily. That's awesome. I believe there was a promotion called Main Event Championship Wrestling in your area?
Yes.
And you worked for them too?
MCW. That was, that's actually Jessica's home promotion.
Okay.
And where she trained, and it's like 3 hours away from me. But when I met her at AIW, and when we wrestled, that was like April 2010 when I first met her.
Okay.
And we took a liking to each other right off the bat, and she ended up bringing me down to her home promotion, and then I started going there regularly, which I think was once a month or every other month. I think it was once a month.
Okay.
And so we wrestled there. We had a feud there for a long time.
Awesome. And was there, you made a new friend, similar in size, who wanted to go hard? Like, what was that? I'm sure it was very amazing. Like, oh, you're just like me. Oh, another person who wants to hit hard and wants to go hard, and this is fun. You're good friends. I'm sure you guys gave it. Usually when you wrestle your friend, you hit them a lot harder than you wrestle than somebody else that you don't know. I know I do. I beat up Heidi levels.
Sometimes I wonder, like, why is that? Like, wouldn't you be nice to her? No,
I really want to hurt you because I love you. What was that feud like? What was? How long did that last?
I don't think it lasted quite a year, but I would say it might have been closer to a year, from what I remember. When I first met Jessica at AIW, I was really scared because I had never wrestled anyone outside of BCWA, like a female. So, and actually the only guy that I wrestled was like a month before that, which was in Beyond Wrestling. That was like the first time I ever branched out from BCWA. So I was like, oh, what am I doing? And I was nervous because I'm like, man, she's gonna be mean, and she's gonna be like, I'm thinking she's gonna be the stereotype, like, I'm the vet and I'm gonna beat you up, that kind of thing. And she was just right off the bat like, hi. She had her mom with her, and she like introducing me to her mom, and we just hit it off right away. The feud in MCW was, let's see, notable marks from that feud. I don't remember. It's really hard for me to distinguish what was the feud and what was us joining a tag team, because then we ended up being a tag team after that.
Okay.
And because she decided to be evil with me. And we had a manager named Dick Jeremy, who was a bigger guy who dressed in like dresses and wigs, and it was fun.
Okay.
Yeah. The feud was, I'm trying to think of what like stood on that feud. I know I beat the shit out of her with a belt at some point.
Okay.
And that was fun, kind of, for one of us at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We didn't end up having a strap match. It just happened.
You just happened to take the belt.
I think I dumped a garbage can on her.
Good.
But I don't remember if it was her or Jessie Belle, because I know I dumped one on Jessie Belle. And I think that was when Jessica and I were tagging.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be us versus Jessie Belle and Mickey Knuckles, but I think Mickey Knuckles had travel issues, and it ended up being Angel Dust, I think, maybe. I don't really remember.
This is at AIW?
No, this was at MCW. Sorry.
Okay.
I remember dumping a garbage can on Jessie Belle and then realizing there was tobacco spit in it. Whoops. Things, shit happens, like I said.
It was a garbage can.
Whether it's
a garbage in
yeah,
it.
whether you get caught with something or whether you get tobacco spit thrown on you, shit happens.
Yeah.
The feud with Jessica was very fun, and that was like my, okay, now I'm gaining experience from someone who's been around a lot longer than I have. So it was very interesting, and looking back at it now, I think it was like, on my part, was complete garbage, because knowing what I know now, I'm like, oh, why was I doing that? Why wasn't I doing that? And it was like, why wasn't someone telling me this? People were telling me a lot of, they had a lot of criticisms, but it's hard for me to watch things back. I force myself to, so I can improve, and I'm a stickler for little tiny things I nitpick, but so I force myself to watch them, but I'm like this the whole time. So
I hide. Usually I'm watching with somebody else,
like
and I'll
this?
kind of be like behind their shoulder, like, I know it's coming. Here it comes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Like, it's good to watch stuff back. Just maybe once or twice.
Maybe.
3 times most.
Yeah. When they're recent. I showed someone my very first match ever, because I have it on DVD.
Awesome.
Thank goodness it's not on YouTube, and I hope it never is. But it was, and I actually just posted a picture to Instagram recently. It was horrible. It was 5 years ago, the end of December. 5 years.
Really?
And it was me and Siobhan,
Okay.
and both of our very first match ever in front of BCW's biggest crowd of the year. So it was like their big show.
Fantastic.
My gear was this terrible purple corset that I bought from like some stripper store. There's a lot of them in Detroit. And my mom sewed bra straps onto it. I said mom again, damn it. So it was a purple corset that I had bra straps sewn onto.
Your mother at the time,
Yes.
whoever your dad was dating.
The person who substituted for my mother.
Yeah.
There were a lot of them. And leggings. And not even leggings that fit well. They were like the polyester kind that slide off your butt.
Okay.
And that's exactly what they did.
Great.
The whole time.
Great.
So luckily I was wearing, I think somebody told me after, at least you're wearing cute underwear. Like, that's not a consolation. However, I will say, even though I was wearing terrible like yarded gear, I had real wrestling boots. And I'm proud of that.
There you go.
Over $200.
Beautiful.
The leather.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good. Good girl.
Yeah.
Good girl.
I'm like, I have boots, I'm legit. So they were like clown shoes, and they felt like cement blocks, but that wasn't the point. So we both had like cotton mouth, like we're so nervous and our mouth was dry, and basically just going through the motions. That's it. And my ass is hanging out the whole time, so I'm so against people adjusting their gear during, because now I have those shorts are like up my ass all the time, and I'm like, oh, I just gotta leave it. The only time I condone it is if it's like a nip slip. You have to like do something about that.
Exactly.
I think you would in a street fight as well. If your boob's hanging out most of the time, unless you're getting hit, then you're like, oh, you know what I mean? I was in underground street fight league, by the way, but that's beside the point. We'll get to that later.
You were busy.
If your ass is hanging out, then you have to. My whole ass and my family's there. Come on now.
I think if your pants are falling off, I think it's okay to pull them
Literally
up.
off.
But if your ass is eating your shorts, you just need to let that go.
You know what you're asking
And you're
for.
talking to the right person here.
You put those shorts on.
Yes.
You know what you're eating into.
They have not made a pair of shorts that can contain this ass
So if
yet.
you actually look on my Instagram, you'll see that picture of it's like a screen cap of she won by, I went for a victory roll, because there I am jumping off things, flipping around. So I went for a victory roll off her shoulders, and she caught it, and ass everywhere for everyone to see. It's like jiggling.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. That's great. That's a great story, actually. Let's skip up to you and Jessica. I believe your tag team name was Team Be Jealous, or just something.
People were calling me when we were in the feud, BJ, Allysin, K. So I don't know. They were just that.
Okay.
I guess it rhymed enough. So they're like, that's clever. And then I want to say the promoter came up with that. He was like one of those promoters that books himself to be the champion.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he decided that, you know, want to be on the mic, come out and like interfere, and you're BJ Allysin K. He had a thick Southern accent. So yeah, that's how that came about. And I'm like, okay, well, they're calling me BJ. Let's put it to our advantage. And that, I guess that was a joke. We're Team BJ, so they could still call us BJ. Hilarious.
There you go. Well, at least you went with it. At least you rolled with it.
Yeah.
You know.
What can you do?
Just turn into something good.
Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah,
you
try to
did.
be positive.
Yeah.
That's the way to think.
And you guys kind of took that act on the road, because didn't you do that at, I want to say, like, Cleveland All-Pro?
We didn't do the tag. I only wrestled at Cleveland All-Pro twice, and both times was against Jessica.
Okay.
So that was before we ended up teaming.
See, there's a lot of bad info out there, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any fact
Don't
checkers.
trust YouTube. Whatever you're seeing is not, it didn't really happen.
No.
Don't look at Wikipedia or anything
that's
like
not
that.
real.
Right. We actually never ended up being a tag team anywhere else except for MCW, and that was the plan when I went to WSU. Our plan, not anyone else's plan. So it just ended up going a different path, which we did end up teaming just with Stephanie as well.
Yeah.
As a militia.
Awesome. Did you know, but AIW was before WSU.
Yes.
Definitely.
AIW was my first, like, indie show with a girl on the indies, if you will. And then from there I started, and I continued to wrestle for AIW. It just wasn't against Jessica.
Okay.
That was just the first match. And then she brought me down to MCW, and we had our feud there. We continued to wrestle for AIW on their Girls' Night Out shows, things like that.
Okay. And have you been pretty much a constant member of their Girls' Night Out series? Have you been on all of their shows?
I wasn't on the first two,
Okay.
but I've been on every one since.
Okay.
And now, I mean, I'm their champion, so I would expect to be.
Yeah. I hope you're booked for the next one.
Right.
And you've actually wrestled some really good talent for AIW. I do have a tiny little list here.
Okay.
Jen Blake, who is phenomenal. Mickey Knuckles.
Twice.
Fantastic. That's incredible. Mischief. Like, you've had some really good opponents. And of course, I think the one match that everybody kind of still talks about is you and Mia Yim.
Yes.
Don't even want to start with the cage. I don't even want to start there.
You can't. You got to start at the beginning.
Let's start at the beginning
That was
of that.
3 out of 3.
Yeah. Let's start at the beginning of that feud, because that's pretty notable.
Yes. So, Girls' Night Out 5, I believe it was. My opponent was to be Cherry Bomb, actually.
Okay.
So it's funny how little things that seem like tragedy at the time are actually turn out to be something, you know, that's beneficial or crazy and just works out for you.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to wrestle Cherry Bomb, and I was really excited about it. We work well together. I've wrestled her a lot in Canada. So she was having issues at the border. So my replacement was Mia Yim.
Okay.
And I never met Mia at the time. I didn't know who she was. I mean, I knew who she was, but I didn't really, I wasn't that familiar with her work, and I didn't know how she was going to be, and I didn't really know anyone who did. So I was just going into this blindly. Like, no one could even say, oh, watch out for her, or, oh, she's really nice. You know, I was just like, oh boy, here we go. And she has this demeanor about her that's very, like, and I'm the same way, and I know a lot of people tell me they can't read me a lot of the time, because my default face is this. So, and I don't mean to look like that, that's just how I look.
That's just your face.
So that's just my face, I'm sorry. She was just kind of, like, quiet, you know, at the time, like, all right, You know, there was no joking back and forth because we didn't have that rapport. So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, and the accident happened, which, I don't know, because she's gone on to say it wasn't an accident at one point, but then said it was an accident. So who knows? The point is, in the very beginning of the match, we were brawling on the outside because we had something earlier on the show that built up to that.
Okay.
And we were brawling on the outside, and she went to throw a kick, and I tried to duck. It happened so fast on camera that you wouldn't even know that anything happened. I go to duck, and I didn't duck fast enough. I'm tall, and she's short.
Yeah.
So me ducking is probably worse. I probably would have took it to, like, the chest if I didn't duck. But I'm, like, trying to duck, and I almost ducked as you would if you were on the run.
Okay.
Like, you have your head up still, like an idiot, and I'm just, like, right in the face instead of just completely ducking. And I ate it completely, and I just remember it on the video, it hits, and I'm just immediately like that, and I had no idea what happened. I just knew, like, have you ever been punched in the face?
Yes.
I'm sure you have.
And kicked in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, it kind of rocks you, and it's not even that it hurts, it's that you're, like, your brain is rattling, and you're just like, what just happened? You're in shock almost. So I remember it was like the wind was knocked out of me. And I remember going down to like all fours and holding my nose, and she comes and grabs me to throw me in the ring, and as soon as I'm on the apron, I see like drops of blood, and I honestly thought my nose was bleeding from the inside.
Okay.
I had no idea what happened, and this is the very beginning of the match.
Awesome.
And so she's going to pin me right away, going to pin me for the 3, and I'm like, nope, I cannot go out this way. I can't. All I can think about, and it's funny how many thoughts go through your head in such a short amount of time, because in like the matter of seconds before he counts to 3, all I can think of, I imagine myself like walking to the back, just awkwardly walking to the back, like, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm like that. I was like humiliated just at the thought, and I'm like, nope, and just kicked out and just kept going.
There you go.
And it was, that match is not, people talk about it like, oh, it was so great and blah, blah, blah. It's because it was like a blood fest, and people are crazy bloodthirsty. So they're like, it was amazing. I wouldn't say it was amazing. I was exhausted. I felt like I had just taken like 5 NyQuil pills or something. And I'm just like, like basically like back when I broke my collarbone, I'm like,
Yeah.
and I was so tired. I can't breathe. And then she ended up winning anyway, of course, I would imagine, you know, if I won after that, then what the hell does that say about her?
Right. Awesome that you wanted to keep going, though. I think a lot of people would have stopped and been like, oh, or started to cry, but because you're a professional and it's just blood. And you're not in a state that has, you know, a no blood clause. If you'd been Kentucky, you would have had to have stopped almost immediately. So, I mean, kudos to you for continuing on and not giving up.
I'm really happy that it happened. Not that it, I don't know, some people will say, well, I think it really elevated you after that point. I really do think it changed something in me. And I don't know, like, I don't really know what it is. It just kind of, all of a sudden, this, like, AK-47 attitude started. But I'm also, what I meant to say in the beginning was, I'm happy that the blood happened as opposed to just me breaking my nose. Because if that would have happened without the gash, because there was a huge gash and you can kind of still see the scar, nobody would have known what happened, and it would have just looked like I was just sloppy, you know? And it wouldn't have been like, oh my gosh, she broke her nose. It would have been like, oh, yeah, she got hurt, I don't know. But because there was a show, just blood all over my face, all over my gear, all over her gear, ruined her gear. Sorry. Your fault. Yeah. You did that to yourself.
Yeah, but you got a sweet feud out of it, so
yeah.
Honestly, that's gorgeous, I think. And now you have a reason to move on, a real reason, not just being 2 catty bitches. Or just,
not just I hate you because... Your girl, yeah.
Your boobs are bigger than mine, I hate you.
Yeah.
Then it led down to the series of 3.
Yes.
Tell us more about that and how that progressed. Obviously, that match was awesome, and people really enjoyed it. The level of violence, the blood, whatever. So we gotta do this again.
Yes. The second match was actually my favorite. That was the fans bringing the weapons.
Okay.
I mean, of course, I'll look back and be like, oh, I don't like that. You know, I should have did this and things like that because I nitpick everything. But overall, that is one of my favorite matches I've ever had. Even more than the cage. And the cage was fun, too.
Okay.
But I just had so much fun in the match because I felt like, I don't know, creatively, I just felt like the sky was the limit. And the match was short. It was like 7-8 minutes.
Really short.
And it was main event. And we're just like, no, 8 minutes. That's all you need. The fans brought... light tubes. They brought a toy AK-47, which I did use.
Cute. Yay.
They brought, well, I don't know, like pans and like weird stuff. I think there's a cheese grater. No, maybe, I don't remember if there was a cheese grater. Because I feel like I would have used it if there was.
If there's a cheese grater, please use it.
Maybe I didn't get around to it because they were placed all around the ring. I don't know if that's normally how those matches go because I don't really wrestle that style ever. So.
But you're not scared to, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had, if you watch back the match, everything that, because a lot of people seem to like that match a lot, but when you watch it back, everything that we used was implied. We didn't beat the shit out of each other. It was all like, I'm about to do this, but I'm not. You know, there was one point where we met in the ring, like okay, I guess I should go in order. So I had the toy AK-47, and I'm thinking it's real. Like, oh, somebody left me an AK-47, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And so it even had like a laser. It was so cool. So I put it up her body to her head.
Nice.
And I start firing it, and then I'm like, this shit's fake. And I slam it on the ground, and it explodes because it was fake.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting it to go everywhere, but it did. And then she has a bat at this point, and she goes to swing it, so I get out of there as fast as possible. She starts bashing it with the AK-47 with the bat. And while she's doing that, I slip in behind her with a bat, with another bat. And then she turns around and we have this face off and we're just standing there and just we're letting it sink in and it's sinking in and the fans start chanting and we just drop the bats and just start because we just want to beat the shit out of each other, right, with our hands.
Beautiful.
We don't even want to use bats. So yeah, that was fun.
Smart.
I'm trying to think of what we did use. I think she hit me with like a cookie sheet on the outside, which whatever. I hit her with a broom. I was sweeping and then just cracked her on the ass with it. That sounded like it hurt. And then the only thing, I had the machete at the end. That was like the unveiling, I guess, of the machete in AIW, I think.
Okay.
I don't think, maybe I did use it before that. Either way, I had it hiding under the ring. So I don't care about the fans' weapons. I have my own weapons. We can bring whatever we want.
Right.
So I'll just, who knows who brought that? It just happens to be on the ring, whatever. And I mean, everyone knows I have it, but that's not the point.
Right.
So I had that. I was going to get that, and she comes up behind me, and I take it out. I loved the reaction of the crowd, and I'm so happy because I don't like doing big things like that or meaningful points of the match on the outside where people can't really see it.
Right.
I like it to be in the ring, but with this, it had to be on the outside, and everyone did realize what it was, or at least it sounded like it. You just hear the oh whatever. So I'm chasing her back with this machete under the ramp, and I have it, and I'm like being all creepy, like putting her cleavage and stuff. And then I'm going to stab her, and she rolls out of the way. I don't know if have you seen this one?
I only seen parts of it.
Okay, so I'm good. I'm glad you haven't seen it. I'm really debriefing you on it.
Yes.
So I go to impale her, like you would normally want to in that kind of match, and she rolls out of the way, and my machete gets stuck in the ramp. So I'm sitting there like pulling it, and then I just feel, I don't really remember exactly what it felt like. It was like a bunch of pinches all on my back. And it's just like, I'm like, what the hell happened? And I just remember doing this and like falling. And she hit me with a light tube, with one of the light tubes that was on the outside. And I have maybe like 3 scars on my shoulder, which is nothing compared to people who do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But this one happened to be, I know a lot of people were mad about that. We actually got in trouble by someone backstage who wasn't happy about that point because there were fans like really close to the ramp, and so the shards flying and stuff. However, this one was painted pink, fitting.
How cute.
So it actually kept a lot of the shards in place, and I think that's why I didn't get as cut up.
Okay.
But there was like a girl who was in a wheelchair by the ramp, who, I mean, the seats aren't really over there, but they had fans like a little close, and they were just like, you might have just gotten all these chemicals on this little girl who's in a wheelchair. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you're getting yourself into. Why are you up on that? Why are you next to the ramp? Why are you putting your daughter who's in a wheelchair next to the ramp anyway? I should have used her wheelchair. I should have threw her out of it and just
Love it. Please do. Oh yes. And then got in it and started wheeling yourself around.
Wheeled down the ramp into a kick. Oh my gosh, I'm really mad now. Now I hate that match.
Save it. File that one for later.
No, but she hit me with a light tube. That was the thing that was used.
Okay.
That was the weapon that was used, and then the whole thing went on from there. But that was the most fun I had, I think. All the matches were, well, the first one maybe wasn't as fun. Both of the matches, the fans bringing weapons and the cage were really fun, but that was my favorite.
Awesome.
A lot of people say the cage is a favorite. The cage isn't my favorite.
Okay.
It had a fun ending.
Yeah.
But to me, all throughout the weapons one was fun.
I think, the cage is such an imposing thing, and just, usually, cage match is the end of a feud. So for them in a 3, match series, boom, we're going cage match. We're going all out.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this.
The cage was pink. I appreciated that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Everything girls do has to be pink. It can't be any other color.
Yeah.
It has to be pink.
Yeah.
Pink or nothing.
Yeah.
How excited were you to do a cage match? Was this your first cage match?
It actually wasn't my first cage match, but it was my first cage match with a meaning, so I was very excited about it.
Cool.
It was a cage match that made sense. I think I've been in 2 cage matches before, and they were like random indie shows. One of them was in Canada for like a fair show, and it was just like, this is going to be an attraction. You girls go in this cage, and it wasn't like a fence cage. It was like an actual, I think even the steel cages like on TV are still like fence, right?
Yeah.
Because this one was actual steel, but it was like this thick.
Oh my god.
And it's just like, there were huge holes,
Okay.
and you could climb up it, but it was just weird.
Yeah.
Like, why?
What?
And it was my first time at this promotion. It was my first time wrestling this girl.
Okay.
And I don't even know, the match was probably crap, but it was just like, okay, well, we're in a cage, so
wow.
I'm doing nothing.
Okay.
I'm doing shenanigans.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds really good. Canada love wrestling there, but just a random cage match out of anywhere, blah blah blah. Were you just up there for the one show, or were you there like on a little mini tour?
It was like
it
was like a 3-day fair show type thing.
Okay.
But I think there might have been cage matches on each one, but I was only in one,
Okay.
and I was just like, oh, I'm good on that. I mean, I don't mind. I really don't mind the cage. It's just, I don't know. I think there are better stipulations. I think there are more entertaining stipulations than a cage match.
Okay.
They're fun, and we definitely got creative with ours.
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, what else can you do with cage, really?
I don't know. Knock it over, run into it a couple times, try to escape, don't escape, fall away, jump off the top, fall to the outside,
Hang off the top, do a submission.
Yeah,
That's
and hit
all
somebody
I
with
got.
the door.
There you go.
There you go.
I think we did that too. I don't remember. My memory, I don't know. Just getting hit so many times in the head. That's always the wrestler excuse. I'm sure you know.
I do.
I get hit in the head a lot.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I forgot your birthday.
Sorry, I forgot your name.
Forgot your anniversary. Sorry.
I think that cage match actually helped put AIW on the map as far as a new promotion that girls could wrestle with intent, with a storyline, with interesting characters. And they were also just using new talent, not just what I would describe as the same girls over and over again, just
Like,
a
oh,
new
you're
location.
local? You're booked.
Boom.
Get on the card.
Exactly.
We want you.
Exactly. A lot of the girls that I was wrestling with and training with at OVW were actually working for AIW too, and they would always be so excited. I'm like, I'm going. They're putting me in a team called the Social Network, or I'm gonna go do this, or I'm gonna go do that. I'm like, go make your money, girls. Have fun with that. A machete? No, that's okay. Call me when you want a body slam.
Yes. They do appreciate body slams as well. There's a vast range of talent on those shows. So you have people who are high flyers, and the people who don't leave the mat. You have the people who want to be more hardcore, and it really is, especially with an all-girls show, you have to have it like that. You have to have whatever appeals to each different audience, because everyone's going to want something different.
Variety, baby.
Everyone's going to have something to say bad about each one because they don't like it, and that's not their style, whatever. So yeah, like Melanie Cruz is on those shows a lot, and she is like definitely a mat-based wrestler, and they love her there. People love her.
They love her just about everywhere.
Yeah. I got to work with her once in POWW. I don't know if that's what they call her, or if they just say POW.
Yeah, I think it's called POW.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was so fun. So much fun. The machete was involved as well.
You might as well bring it.
Yes.
The AK is broken. You might as well bring your machete.
Yeah, AK-47, no, I don't need one.
Yeah.
I mean, I still abide by the laws. I just carry a machete.
Right.
Can't carry a gun. I don't have my license. Probably can't carry a machete either, but we're just going to keep it in the trunk.
Just look, nobody has to know. So I'm going to pull it out if I really need to. That probably kind of brings me up to about maybe 2011 area, where I first met you. I first met you at the Gathering of the Juggalos. And in the hotel room, and I was like, oh, who's this girl? I've seen her picture before. I think I saw a picture of you and Jessica together. You guys had taken a lot of promo pictures together. You guys were always posing together with this little cute implied lesbianism.
I'm good about that.
No, I caught it. I'm like, oh, she's sitting in her lap. That's nice. Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Okay. And I watched your match. It was a good show. It was a really good show. It went on at 4 a.m, something like that. It was really cold. I remember that. And I just remember, I'm like, wow, she, doesn't look like anybody else here. And she's kind of tall. Cool. Awesome. A lot of female wrestlers are really short.
Yeah.
We're kind of all in the 5'3" to 5'5"
average.
Yeah. And a girl coming in at 5'10", you're a giant. You're a giant, whether you know it or not. And that's, easy to work with for us short girls anyway.
Yeah.
And with your style, you're just a lot of fun to watch.
It's a shame we never got to work together.
I'm not retired yet, but we're getting there. We are getting there. So you better hurry up.
So any promoters out there?
Just saying, hurry up, get in. What did you think of being at the gathering and wrestling this all-girl show in the middle of a field where people are doing various substances and getting really, really wasted?
You know what? A part of me was disappointed in the audience because I feel like it wasn't the true Juggalo audience. It was like, oh, this is an ICW or JCW.
Yeah, JCW.
It's arena chicks.
Yeah.
So it was like the crowd was kind of sparse, and I think we were one of the first matches out.
Okay.
So I feel like there weren't a lot of people there, and I wanted the like typical Juggalo like throwing pop bottles and everything, and it didn't happen. So, but I mean, there was still a crowd, and they were still into it, and I still had fun. The setup was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, you guys
Amazing
definitely invest into this.
Yeah.
I liked getting there because it was just Stephanie and I that drove down there in my car, and we had to get to, I don't know if you remember, but because I don't know how many you've done, I've just done the one, but we couldn't park where everyone else was parking. We had to like get to the back where the wrestling was.
Right.
So we actually drove my car through the gathering, and Stephanie was driving. I was sitting out of my passenger window yelling at people to move, which probably isn't wise because they're like family, but I clearly was not one of them.
If you just scream woot woot while you're doing it, you'd be all right.
And I probably was, because I do that sometimes. Okay. But maybe with all the eyeliner, they thought I was a juggalo. I don't know. So I was sitting out there asking them to move, and I'm like, well, I wasn't asking, I was telling. And I'm just doing this, like, get out of the way, because we're like going to run them over. And they're just like whatever. I was waiting for a Faygo bottle just hit me upside the head, and it didn't happen.
Aww.
Which I don't know if I don't know why I'd be disappointed about that, but I guess I was just waiting for it and it didn't happen. I'm like, oh, you guys are weak.
Yeah. Nice people. They
are. You know, that's what I found out. Like, you would think that, like, oh, they're going to be crazy, they're going to be whatever, but they really are, like, family, and that is where they're, like,
it's really
at
peaceful.
Peace. Yes.
It's so peaceful.
Yes.
Everybody's just there having a good time. Everybody's happy. That's the thing. Nobody's walking around all mean-mugging and upset. Everybody is having a good time.
And if they are, they probably just haven't gotten drugs yet.
Right, which are readily available. You just need to take a walk over to the bridge. I've done 3 of them. Believe me. I've done 3 gatherings.
Oh, like 3 of the drugs or 3 of the... No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not even counting that.
Okay.
But 3 of the gatherings, and they're the nicest, most supportive people. You come in with these misconceptions of what it's going to be like. Oh my gosh. So much fun.
Maybe at regular concerts where they're mixed with normal people, that's where they're like on edge. But like there, it's just like, we're cool, dude.
Yeah. And by the end of it, people are just not wearing clothes anymore, and they're out of their minds.
Anyone that dies is probably overdose. It's their own, you know what I mean? No one like went out to kill them. No. I think that's important to know.
Absolutely. I have not heard of any murder.
Because murder, that's different. You're
just
like,
thinking about murder, but not necessarily actually following through.
Yeah.
Good times. I would like to talk about WSU. That's another company that has, in the last couple of years, really come up and decided to really dedicate time and money to women's wrestling. When did you start going to WSU, and did they immediately have a plan for you?
WSU, I wish I had an exact date. I feel like it would have been in 2011 when I started. My first match there was Jamelia Kraft, who is now Jenny Rose, and that was a lot of fun. It was basically like a tryout, and of course Jessica was already there, so she kind of put in that word for me, like, hey, you need to check out this girl. And I would tell her after that, like, you know, I owe it all to you, blah, 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 and she's like, no, like, I said, look at this person, you did it on your own. That match with Jenny, or Jamelia, was really fun, and after that, Mick, at the time, who was running WSU, I guess he liked me and he was impressed by it, and that was kind of like, okay, well, we're gonna keep you around. And there wasn't like I don't think there was a definite plan. Like, I don't think he knew, okay, well, let's do the Midwest Militia. That kind of came out later, but because I had my first couple matches there were just singles. So I had Jamelia, and then I had Kristen Estara. I believe that's what she was going by at the time.
Yeah, like Chrissy Vane.
Yeah, and I think after that, it was still like random matches. Like he was a fan of like the 6-man tag and things like that, but that moved on to building toward us forming a team.
Okay, because they use a lot of like local talent on the north and northeast section, and bringing you guys in from the Midwest kind of helped spice it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, you know, a lot of these all-girl shows, same girls over and
Yeah.
over and over again, they were doing something different.
Yeah.
Bringing in names that we hadn't heard or have had very little exposure, but looking for that opportunity. And that was a place, I think, you know, besides AIW, that you really broke through and became a more popular name, or a name that we'd see more often. You know, that's awesome. But what were you just writing down with yourself, or who were you writing with? Jessica?
It was me, Jessica, and Stephanie.
So you guys were already writing together.
And that's kind of where it came about.
Okay.
Oh, you guys are in a car together?
Oh.
Stable, right there. So, I mean, that's kind of how it works sometimes. But it was with more idea behind it. It wasn't just that. I mean, we will joke about it. But it really was like, okay, well, you guys fit, and this makes sense, and they wanted a stable. So it worked out for the better.
Okay. So it was really just, was it their idea? They just said, oh, carload, let's put it together.
It really
Heels.
was. Mick was the mastermind behind it.
Okay.
Like Jessica and I, like I said, we went there with the idea of, oh, we're gonna tag, we're gonna be Team Be Jealous, and then it was kind of like, oh, well, let's throw Stephanie in there and let's do this whole thing, you know. So almost like a, I don't know, NWO type thing, and then we were just running the monopoly, like we have all the belts. And
you kind of did have all the belts. What was that like? Was there, I mean, you guys came in, you guys kind of took over, and boom, you got pretty much every belt. What was the feeling? Did anybody have any qualms about that? Like, oh, what?
Not to our face.
Yeah. Oh.
So, and not that I even know of.
Okay.
So if they did have a qualm with it, it wasn't anything that they let get to a rumor or do the whole he said, she said thing. So as far as I know, everyone was cool about it. That locker room was, even though we were outside talent, it pretty much was like there was a main roster. We didn't really have a lot of outside people at the time. Like now he kind of brings in, Drew will bring in, you know, different people, and he wants to bring in, you know, international people too, and I think that's awesome. With the old WSU, I liked it as well because the locker room was tighter, and we were all cool with each other, and we had the veterans there like Rain and Mercedes, and I think Lufisto started coming later on, but we had them to kind of guide us, and we were all cool. Like I didn't have a problem with anyone. I can't even think of anyone who really had a problem with anyone, because and a lot of the girls were the East Coast girls, so they were already cool. And I liked that about that locker room. So if anyone did have a problem with it, they kept it to themselves or between each other. So not that I know of, because I know better.
Machete.
With my default face.
Right.
Say something.
Speaking of your default face, a look that I noticed that you do a lot is you wear the face mask, or you'll put the bandana over your face, very gangster-like. And I remember seeing pictures of that and going, Black people are so cool. Let me just say, right now, Black culture is just so cool. But you kind of adopted this, I call it a gangster look with the over your face, because a lot of people, if you don't know about, you know, drive-bys and crime, you put the bandana over your face so that you cannot be recognized. So here comes AK coming in with a bandana over her face, about to jack somebody. Where did you think of that, or was it just something funny that you just decided to do?
Are you referring to the skull bandana?
I believe there was a pink one, and then I think that there was like a skull one. And
the skull was the militia. We
Okay.
all had those. So we're a militia. So we're coming out with the mask, because that's what a militia would do, right? They're covering.
I don't know a lot of militias, so if you tell me that that's what militias do, then I will just believe.
You know, there actually is a Midwest militia.
Is there really?
Like a real Midwest militia who, I tried to look into it a little bit, but then I was like getting bored.
Okay.
So we're obviously much more entertaining than the actual one.
Are they just running drugs, or what are they?
No.
They jacking corn?
I'm not exactly
what are they doing?
sure.
Okay.
It has to do with guns.
Okay.
Something, cool. And being arrested, and there was like a whole deal about it. I don't know all the details, so I wouldn't even guess.
As long as they don't contact you about copyright.
Yes. Yeah. I think I'll be contacting them actually. No, the pink one it's actually a Hannibal Lecter mask.
Okay.
And that I started wearing in AIW after my nose was broken. So my first match back was for 2CW. I don't know if you're familiar, but they're up in New York, and they run the all-girls Grand Prix. Okay. And I think they've only had a couple so far.
Oh yes, a good friend of mine, Ben Hameen.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He tweets us sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes, I used to work with him.
Yes.
A lot.
So those shows are really fun. My first match back was their first tournament, and it was against Sarah Del Rey.
Fabulous.
So that's the only time I ever got to wrestle her. I debuted the mask there because I'm like, okay, I have this broken nose. I didn't want to take it off at all, but I had to. Like, you can't really wrestle with that on. So I was wearing that to protect my nose or to just shield my nose or kind of hide it at first. Like, I don't really want anyone to know what it really looks like. Nobody had seen me since I posted a picture of my face like exploded.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wanted to keep it hidden. And so yeah, that's where that came from. And then I started wearing it AIW, and I actually don't wear any of those anymore.
Okay.
I don't wear the militia mask. I haven't with the skull since the Midwest militia dissolved, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know, we're not.
Is that what has happened?
Stephanie and I are still the champions.
Okay.
Of today's date. And there is still a militia, but then there's the whole thing with like me and Jessica, and it's just we just don't. So it's basically me and Stephanie.
Okay.
Kind of doing our own thing right now.
Do you still call yourself the Midwest Militia? The two of you?
I don't know. I don't call us anything.
Okay.
So if he does, then that's fine.
Okay.
But I don't really call us anything. Yeah, so the pink mask I stopped wearing, I actually just saw a picture recently, and I'm like, I don't know. It makes me laugh because a part of me thinks it's so stupid. Like, why am I wearing a mask? You know, why do people wear masks when they come out? Like, I'm so cool, I have a mask on. You can't see me.
Uh-huh.
Like, that, first of all, that's trademarked already, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, good.
So you can't use that.
Do it. Yeah. Good for you.
I don't know. It's just, there's a whole different story, I guess. But yeah, so I just stopped wearing it. Like, I'm just going to stop.
Okay.
I didn't really have a reason. I just stopped.
Okay.
And people need to see this face.
Yeah,
you know
that's your money.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like, when I come out, that's what it was. I was watching myself, like, an entrance, and it's just so, when you're covering your face, it's so, like, it doesn't have to be lifeless, I guess, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, with me, what I'm saying and what I'm doing with my face is a lot of it,
Mm-hmm.
so I cannot be covering that. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. Completely. Your face is giving the audience, the emotion that you're feeling.
Yes.
Absolutely. But I just thought it was interesting because not a lot of girls do things like that. It's usually I got my makeup on, I got my eyelashes on, and my hair is curled straight.
It was fun. I still like it. I think it's cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like to be able to talk.
Mm-hmm. That too.
Mm-hmm.
Not just breathe heavily.
Yeah, and not just look.
Yeah.
Just look at my eyes.
Yeah. Even though that can be very intense too.
Yeah, it can be.
Okay.
Just not as fun.
As you were a tag team champion in WSU. Did you hold any of the other belts yourself?
Not at WSU.
Okay.
So I am currently WSU tag champs with Stephanie, and then AIW women's champion.
Okay. And with a tag team, did you guys do freebird rules at all? Like you could just interject one person in and switch out another as far as you were a threesome, or was it always just you and Stephanie were the tag team?
It was just me and Stephanie,
Okay.
because Jessica is their world champion, and at one point the spirit champion as well.
Okay.
So she was in her own things, like defending the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So we were always just tag team, just two of us.
Okay.
I don't think we ever did a 6-man, which is surprising.
Yeah, that is surprising.
You know what? That's a lie, because that is one of the first cage matches I was in, was War Games. That was a 6-man.
There you go.
Not your traditional 6-man, which is why it slipped my mind, but yes, that was a 6-man.
Okay.
Though still much different, because one in at a time. Well, two start, one in at a time after that,
Okay.
and then everyone's in there, and it's just chaos.
That's
So,
awesome. How did that end up? Like, how much fun was that?
That was the actual debut of the machetes,
Okay.
because we ended up handcuffing Alicia and Brittany Savage to the cage and holding Mercedes up, and Jessica was going to impale her with this machete. And of course, Mercedes is not going to give up.
No.
She got that
No.
Boricua blood.
No.
She's not giving up. She will have her head chopped off if she has
Feisty.
to. So Alicia and Brittany Savage actually gave up for her because they didn't want to witness her be decapitated.
Nobody does. I'm sorry. Nobody
I
wants to
kinda
see
did,
that.
but-
Oh.
I mean, I wanted to win.
And you did, and nobody died.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that's, I guess, win-win for everyone, right?
I think so.
If we win, everyone wins.
Everybody's a winner right now. Oh my goodness. So WSU went through some growing pains and an ownership change. How did that affect you guys as far as you're a team, you're brought in, you're holding belts, you're representing this company, really you're the faces of this company now. With the switchover to, I believe, Beyond bought them and started handling their releases and shows. Was there a difference in shows? Was there a difference in how talent was handled. I feel like there was a lot of stuff on Twitter and on the internet, not necessarily with you guys, but how did that affect you guys?
I honestly feel like it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're still sort of the militia. We still have the championships. Jessica doesn't have the Spirit Championship, but I think she ended up losing that before it even switched.
Okay.
So we are still pretty much where we were when we left off, when Mick left.
Okay.
There was a lot of, I know there was a lot of, not even, I don't want to say controversy, but a lot of issues for some of the girls. And I don't know all the details about them,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that with the switch there were hard feelings, and so a lot of the talent that you used to see you don't anymore.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't know all the details, but for us it was never an effect. It never affected us in our pay. It never affected us in our status.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still cool with it.
Okay.
I know that Drew is doing his best to. He wanted to keep up, you know, what WSU was. And people will argue and say, oh, well, it's not really uncensored anymore and blah, blah, blah. I don't agree with that necessarily. There will always be pros and cons, you know. I think that I understand what he's trying to do teaming with CZW, and I think it can be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem wrestling guys, and I don't see why a lot of people had such an issue with it. Now, I don't think that they should be together. I don't think they should be one company.
Right.
The WSU should be a separate entity, and I don't think that it would hurt WSU to have their own shows aside from the double. But I also don't think a double show is a big deal, because I feel like, if anything, it might draw a bigger audience.
Mm-hmm.
People that want to go to CZW but might not really necessarily care about WSU, and vice versa.
Right.
You know, if they're at WSU, well, I might as well stay for CZW.
Mm-hmm. It might be good for the talent as well. Maybe they could work both.
Yes.
Now you're getting maybe a bigger mix of people, a bigger
Right.
pool of
Right.
talent
Mm-hmm.
to draw from. It could be a good thing, actually.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's get away from WSU.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't work there, and that's okay. And but now that I'm seeing you more and more, the place that I see you the most is at Shine,
Mm-hmm.
which is a fairly young company. They just celebrated their 1-year anniversary last summer, and you have been a staple of Shine. You're one of the I would say girls who has really brought this company into a whole different area. You're a totally new character. You were put into a tag team with somebody completely new, and you guys have your own thing going on, which is hot. Let's talk about Made in Sin with Taylor May, because I actually love you guys as a tag team.
Thank you.
And my favorite match was you two versus Kong and Jazz for FUW.
Were you there?
I was there.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I was there.
Did we talk when you were there? Were you hiding?
No, I was like the second match on the show with Heidi.
Okay.
So I was like,
oh, yeah.
because there were like
other
5 girls
shows.
matches
Yeah.
on that
Leva
show.
was there too.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's so sweet.
you guys were hilarious. When was it Lexi who contacted you and talked to you about bringing you in for Shine and doing this tag team?
Yes. I actually met Lexi not too long before that at Shimmer.
Okay.
And it was actually a Shimmer that I don't remember exactly if I was on that main card or if I had just done Sparkle, because I did do Sparkle before I was on the main card.
Okay.
And I met Lexi there, and she seemed to like me, and we were talking, and after that she contacted me about possibly, now initially it was going to be driving down.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the plan, like, oh, all these people from up here can drive down? Yes, do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that ended up not working out, and a lot of those girls had to back out at the time, and it ended up being actually beneficial for me because I got to fly.
Okay.
But yeah, she contacted me about that, and it was her and I'm sure it was Sal had something to do with it, but they kind of looked at Taylor and I and said, you guys look alike, we want to put you in a tag team. That, I think, was the basis of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Taylor before, but I didn't really know her, so that was another situation where I'm like, oh boy, what am I getting into?
Oh.
Made in Sin is, it's a clever name, but it was not my idea.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I did have a lot of different ideas. I don't remember any of them specifically, but I had like a list, and I sent it to Lexi, like, one of these. And she's like, oh, we're thinking about this. And I'm like, all right. That's just how it goes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out it actually does make sense, and now it's grown on me, And Taylor and I actually do work well together, and I enjoy working with her. She has a very similar attitude as mine. a very similar mindset. And she comes from the Midwest as well. She's from Chicago area. So we have that same, I don't know, ghetto side, I guess you could say.
Oh.
And I mean, of course we want to keep it classy all the time, but
Always.
I mean, you do see that, you see it come out in us that we're not always the classiest people.
The pinkies are up at all times. That makes it classy.
Pinkies are up if your shorts are up your ass, you got, no matter what tactics you're pulling out, I mean, if your pinkies are up, that's all that matters.
As long as you keep your pinky up, you're good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so you guys are established, Made in Sin. You guys are doing your thing. When was the idea of adding April to your group brought in? April Hunter, I'm sorry.
Yeah, April was, honestly, I cannot remember if she was on the first show with us when we faced Sue Young and Tracy Taylor, or if she was a later addition. Because I almost mix it up with us forming and then Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Because she, it's us three plus Rain and Evilise. So she's always been like, it was either the first or the second taping, I think, where she was like our enforcer. Like, oh, we're introducing our enforcer. That's what it was.
Okay.
We ended up introducing an enforcer on one of the later tapings. Because I think things weren't going our way. So.
Well, that's what you do when things aren't going your way. You get an enforcer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your first matches, Trace Taylor, Sue Young. What was that second taping?
I want to say it was Mischief and Von Eerie.
Okay.
I believe. Okay. Because after that, I know I had Von Eerie in a singles for Shine 3.
Okay.
So, I mean, there have been, tomorrow, or today is 16.
16 right now.
So, about to be Shine 16. So, a lot of them blur together. I'm like, which one was which? I do remember a lot of them, but I know that Shine 3 was my singles because that's one of the very few singles that I've had.
Okay.
I had a lot of fun with Von Eerie and Mischief. We got to wrestle them twice. 2 different shines. I don't remember what exactly the volumes were, but yeah, we wrestled with them twice. I was very sad to miss the 1-year anniversary. Up until I went to Japan, I was on every single shine, and I was one of the very few, and I think I was the only non-local who had been on every single shine. So that broke my heart a little bit. But what can you do?
Make choices. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can't be everywhere.
I know.
It's all good though. I mean, you guys are doing really, really well. I mean, you're a very established team, and of course now being almost absorbed into Valkyrie, which is a huge stable all over the place. Girls are everywhere. Facing each other, not facing each other.
Girls be everywhere.
Yeah. Now, you said you had done Sparkle before you had done Shine, but now I do believe you're on the Shimmer main roster, and your tag team, Made in Sin, is a bona fide tag team for Shimmer. What did you feel about actually being added to Shimmer? I know a lot of girls who are now coming into the business, that is one of their top goals. More than even going to WWE, more than going to TNA or other places, they want to wrestle for Shimmer. Has Shimmer always been in your sights? That's always somewhere you wanted to wrestle? Or, I mean, what was your feeling going into that?
I was very excited when I learned that Prazak really wanted more tag teams. It was perfect. And especially he works closely with Lexi, since she's an agent down there, or up there, I guess. And I was very excited to bring this to Shimmer because I know that they were looking for different tag teams. And I can't say I always wanted to work for Shimmer because I didn't even know Shimmer existed when I was first starting to wrestle. I didn't learn about them until I started training. So that was maybe 2008. They were already like 3 years old, I believe. So once I learned about them, I wanted to be there. And actually, me and the girl that I trained with went to a Shimmer show in May of 2009.
Really?
So we just started wrestling. We had our first match in December of 2008. And we went to, I believe it was May 2009. And we went with some other guys that were training with us. And so if you watch that volume, whatever volumes those were at that time, you might see us in the audience because we're just sitting back there like, and it was it was very interesting because I remember watching it. I remember watching the Sparkle matches, and Sparkle was already a thing then. And I remember watching them and thinking, and this isn't to like knock anyone, but I remember thinking, I can so be on the show. I can be on the show. And who stood out to me in those tapings? I loved Cheerleader Melissa. in those tapings.
Mm-hmm.
I remember she was like one of my favorites watching that show, because when you're watching, and I know how the fans feel because I was on the opposite side of that of that gate. You know, that's another weird thing, to walk out through the curtain and see like, oh, I was over on the other side not too long ago. To sit through 4 tapings is a lot. It does take a toll. I think we actually ended up having to leave early during the 4th taping because we had like a long drive home.
Okay.
But Cheerleader Melissa was one that I looked forward to throughout the weekend. So I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, there were a lot, but I know that she was like the main one where I was like, wow. Because I mean, I didn't have a biased opinion. I didn't know who any of these girls really were. I wasn't like that familiar with the women's indie scene yet. So I think that says something, to watch this person and be like, wow. She was just so like, everything she did looked so, she put so much effort into every little thing she did, you know? Like, she was really beating these people's asses. And I was like, wow.
No, she is. She is one of those, she is just in a, almost in a different category. She is so concentrated and so polished in everything that she does. And if there was anything she needed to work on, she'd be working on it, believe me. And she takes wrestling very seriously. I mean, you know, being third generation wrestler, and you know, she's been everywhere. She is just, she's very upper echelon. It's ridiculous.
I finally got to wrestle her.
Did you really?
In Montreal for Femme Fatales.
Awesome. How did that go?
That was actually supposed to be her and Jessica, but Jessica couldn't make it.
Okay.
And so I ended up facing her, and it was, I had a lot of fun working with her. I was very happy with it. She was very happy with it. Of course, I always look back and will be like, oh, I don't like that. I should have did this. But that's with every single situation ever. So I didn't want to tell her beforehand, because I didn't want to be one of those people. I'm not one of those people that would be like, oh, I'm your biggest fan, you know. And but I did tell her afterwards. I didn't want to say anything before, and I told her the story, like, I actually watched you before, and I was, like, really excited to work with you. And she's like, she was very flattered, but she's like, I'm so happy you didn't tell me that before, because it would put so much pressure on me.
No.
And so I was very excited to get to work with her, and I really hope that, I feel like since then, I've grown even more, especially having gone to Japan and everything.
Absolutely.
And I feel that I would love to wrestle her again.
Absolutely.
That would be great.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to do that, especially you working in Shimmer. Are there any other girls who are working in maybe more like the Shimmer or Femme Fatales, WSU, that you have not had a chance to, that you'd really like to get in the ring with?
There are a lot, and I can't even name them all, because I'm sure I'll miss some, but I know Cheerleader Melissa is one that I would like to work again, even though I've already worked with her. Madison Eagles, I've never got to work with.
Okay.
I feel like there was another one that I never got to work with. I don't feel that I ever really got to work with the Canadian Ninjas, even though we were in like a 4-way tag match at the Shimmer that was at WrestleCon last year.
Okay.
But I mean, we didn't really get to interact that much.
Okay.
So I would love to work with Hiroyo Matsumoto. Okay. I actually teamed with her in Japan against there's Purple Lightning, who you might not know, but she has the black bangs and the blonde streaks right here, so that's how you can like tell who she is. And then Satomura is who we face, and who basically runs Sendai Girls, and she's like a legend in Japan. So it was great to work with them, and I was working with Hiroyo, but she was on my team, so I would actually love to wrestle her.
Okay. I mean, you keep bringing it up, and it's on my list of things to talk about. Well, let's talk about it right now. You did go to Japan last summer. I remember before you left, you were like, I don't know, my job might fire me. I don't care. I'm going to Japan. I was like, go, girl. You can get a new job. Don't worry about it. Go to Japan. Have fun. How did that come about, and how excited were you?
I actually I talked to someone about it like a year prior to that, and it was an opportunity that was going to come up, and it just wasn't, the details just weren't sitting right at the time, so I waited. And I talked to Jenny Rose, who is with Diana a lot, who goes over there a lot. I talked to her about it, and I also talked to Sumi Sakai. And so Sumi was aware that I really wanted to go to Japan, and I was talking to her about it. And then just out of the blue, one day, she emailed me and was like, hey, do you still want to go to Japan? I'm like, yeah.
Like now?
But that was like in January. I didn't end up going to Japan until like July.
Okay.
I think July 2nd was my first day there.
Okay.
And it was that whole time in between was just ironing out all the details. And that's actually pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what date am I really going over there? You know, what are all the details?
Mm-hmm.
What is all this? You have to make sure, like, okay, I have to make sure my flight's covered, my visa's covered, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it all worked out, and I'm very grateful to her for that, for putting my name out there, like, hey, this girl's interested, why don't you contact her? Because Diana's an amazing company, and they took such good care of all of us.
Yeah.
Everything, yes, they took care of everything. And it was an amazing experience.
Awesome. While you were over there, you worked, did you work a tag match, and did you work a singles?
I actually had, I think, 7 matches with Diana.
Okay.
And I also had a match with 01.
Okay.
2 shows with Sendai Girls, and 1 with Reina.
Okay.
So I had quite a few matches over there.
10 matches. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had a lot of, it was very mixed, because I was teaming with Crazy Mary Dobson a lot of times. But I don't have the exact numbers. We teamed a lot, but I also had a lot of singles.
Okay. Okay. Was there any training? Did you?
Yes.
You did some
They
training.
had training every day.
Okay.
And then their training was more like functional in the ring type training. So it was a lot of rolling and things like that, and the bumping. I did my own training after that, because I would do the weight training. That's actually, I just started like really getting into weight training there, because all we had was, we have the ring, we had a punching bag, the track you can run on, and then a set of dumbbells.
Okay.
Set of old rusty dumbbells.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I learned that. I'm like, okay, I can work with this.
Awesome. So you're over there, it's you and Crazy. Was Jenny there with you, or just the 2 of you?
No, she wasn't there at all the whole time we were there. It was me, Crazy Mary, and Jessica James from Texas.
Okay.
Who's over there. Jessica left in August, and Serena Deeb came to the dojo.
Mm-hmm.
So she was there up until, I think, 2 weeks after we left, which is like the end of September pretty much.
Okay. So you got there, what you said, July?
Mm-hmm.
And then you left in September.
Yeah, so 3 months.
Yeah, you were there 3 months. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Homesick?
I didn't get homesick.
Really?
I just, there are some people that cannot handle it. They are just like, I miss so-and-so. And I missed people, but there's also technology where you can see people's faces on the phone.
You
It's
can.
like, yeah, and you can talk to them. And not that that's, obviously that's not always, it doesn't always fix everything, but it did help a lot.
Yeah.
It helped a lot. And then, we had a Wi-Fi, we had pocket Wi-Fi.
Oh,
That
awesome.
is amazing.
Yeah.
I would be on Google Maps every day, like, okay, what train do I get on at what time? Yep, okay. I would go places by myself. I went to Kamakura by myself, which is like an hour away from where we lived. Woke up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, got on the train. I went out there to see the Great Buddha of Kamakura, who is this gigantic statue. I have these pictures on Instagram too. This gigantic Buddha statue through a Zen garden. Okay. And I wanted to see it before I left, so that was one of the last things I did. And nobody felt like getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning with me, so I just went alone.
Oh, wow. So independent. Good for
Yeah.
you. Wow.
I felt very
pocket
safe.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, pocket Wi-Fi. Oh my gosh, amazing.
We need that. Here, I need Wi-Fi immediately. Like everywhere I go, I need it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So obviously you learned a lot, and that was, if that wasn't like a life-changing experience, and you took it upon yourself to go do some things that actually meant a lot to you outside of wrestling.
Yeah.
So you really walked into that and really made the most of it.
Yeah.
Do you think you want to go back?
I do. I would love to go back. I know that just with real life, taking its course back home, I know that it's not always convenient to leave for 3 months at a time. It's just not always possible. So I treated this trip as if I was never going to go back. So that's why I did a lot of stuff. I wasn't necessarily trying to be on vacation, but we have a lot of free time. So there was no reason for me not to do my training, do all my shows, do all my prep, and then go have fun.
Yeah.
And I did. I made the most of it, and I was busy every day.
Awesome.
Serena and I, Jessica and I, and Mary and I for that matter, would go off on adventures all the time. Serena and I were just talking about it. We were just reminiscing a little bit about, we just went to Harajuku one day. I went there a few times when I was there, but one day we decided to go there on our own, and we were going to go through this shrine that they had, but it was closed at the time. So we're like, whatever, let's just walk around. Because Harajuku, it's like the popular shopping area of Japan. Okay. It's mainly one street. It's I forget. It's like Takashita Street, I think, and it's just one main street when you get off the train, and it's just like vendors everywhere, stores everywhere, and it's so busy, and it's really cool looking because it kind of like goes down and twists. It's like the Yellow Brick Road. So we did that, and then but once you get down to the end of the street, you're like, okay. We also want to spend or save money, so we're not just going crazy down the street. There are more expensive stores around, but they're really expensive. Like you have like Chanel stores and things. We're not going in there.
Yeah.
So after you're done with that street, you're like, okay, we're like, let's go an adventure. And we found this, I'm sure I have pictures of it somewhere, but there was like a mall looking thing, and there was a giant escalator going up, and then the whole like surrounding was mirror, and it just looked really cool. So we go over there and we see a sign for a beer forest. We're like, what the hell is a beer forest? We're gonna find out. That's what it is.
What is a beer forest?
Yeah, so we're like, so we go up these escalators, and it's like a regular store up there, and we're like, okay, it's like a mall, and it was just weird. It was almost like a building like this. It wasn't like a mall that's mapped out over a bunch of land. It was just like straight up.
Okay.
They had like so many floors. So we see the beer forest sign, and it's like 8th floor or roof or something. So we're like, all right, we're going up all these escalators. There wasn't an elevator, and we're just looking at all these stores. Like, I don't think this exists. I don't know what we're doing. We finally get to the roof, and it is literally a forest with beer. So there's just, I don't know, but I think it was a real forest. I think they had real trees.
Okay.
It was set up like a forest.
Okay. I'm picturing beer coming off the tree.
Okay,
here.
no.
I'm plucking beer. Oh, a third shift. Oh,
no.
Great.
Okay, so there's like this main platform you walk out onto, and then there's like kind of like bleachers. Like it kind of goes up. They're longer than bleachers, so you can sit on it, you can relax there, and then they have chairs too. And it's like a forest where they have trees and shrubs, and it's like you're in a forest. And they have like mist coming out every now and then, so I'm pretty sure it was real.
Awesome.
Like they're watering them.
Yeah.
And then there's this little tiny like trailer type vendor, and they're just selling beer. It's not even like a big thing. It's just like this little tiny, like a kiosk almost, that they're selling beer out of, like something you would see at a carnival.
Sure.
And they're selling beer, and I actually got a beer float, beer with ice cream in it. I don't even like beer. I don't drink beer.
What?
But I was like, I'm having that.
Regular ice cream? Or
yeah.
Okay.
It was just like a little plop of vanilla ice cream. Okay.
All right.
It wasn't bad, but I don't like beer, so it was weird. And yeah, so it's just a forest with a tiny little thing. You can get drunk and go sit up there, and they have like cool like hammocks and stuff, and
That's awesome.
I feel like we need to bring that to the United States.
I think you need to bring it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. That's awesome. Sounds like you had a really good time over there. I think I need to skim over. You worked for Ring of Honor?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we hit all points here. Multiple times, one time.
I worked for Ring of Honor once.
Okay.
That was the first women's match that they had on TV tapings, at least, since, I don't know, a very long time.
Okay.
I got to work with Mischief, which was awesome. I think that was the first time I worked with her. No, it couldn't have been. Because I think I worked with her at Shine before that, and that's how it actually came about. It went very well. It was very different for me because I had never done like a TV taping like that before, and it's so weird to just be like, okay, this is the time limit you have. Because, you know, indie shows are so, this is your time limit, but do what you want, you know? I mean, you still want to stick to your times, but it's like, okay, if they say 8 to 10, I could be like, you know what, we're going 7, and or whatever. Like, okay, well, if you go 11, it's not a big deal. But with Ring of Honor, it's like, this is your time. You know, you have 7 minutes, and that includes all this stuff, too.
Absolutely.
So really, you have like 4 or 5. That was the most pressure I felt in like a long time. It wasn't even being on TV or being in front of that audience or working for that company for the first time. It was that time limit pressure, because I'm not that great at, I'm not one of those people that can just be like, oh, it's been a minute, I can feel it. Like, no. I need someone to be like, hey, probably twice. Hey, it's been this time, you know. I'm not that great at that. So luckily, it all worked out. So we were on time. Everything went smoothly. It was great. It was such an amazing experience. It was like I was like on a high after it, and Mischief was so happy, and that was another pressure I had because she hadn't been there in a long time. I think one of their last matches might have been her and Daisy Hayes.
Okay.
I think that's what she told me. So she felt pressure, and I know that she's probably thinking like, girl, you better not mess this up for me. You know what I mean?
Aww,
she's so nice.
she
but,
is.
You know, like in the back of your head, you're like, you better be on it. So, and I'm just so happy that I could fulfill that.
Awesome. Any interest in working for them in the future?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd definitely be interested. They were there. I really liked the atmosphere there. They treated us very well. It was fun. It was a fun crowd. Just the whole setup gets you excited. You know, it's like, oh, this is legit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, so far it's just been unfortunate because I can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah.
So,
what's the world gonna do to you? Come on.
I would have killed my twin in the womb. I'm sure I was a twin at first. That's just how I roll.
Your dad couldn't have handled that by himself, so don't. And what did your dad think about you going to Japan? Was he like super proud of you? Like, he's like, look at that's my baby girl, follow my footsteps.
Pretty much. Trying to talk me into using the ghetto blaster, but I'm like, I love the name and it so fits me, but I'm like, Dad, it just wasn't that clean. You know what I mean? Like, no offense. He knows it.
Dad knows best. Come on. I'm trying to think. I don't know that. I think I've hit all the major companies that you've worked for. Like, do you think in your head, like, or in your mind, excuse me, what have been just maybe some of your favorite moments if we haven't talked about your favorite match? Are there your favorite opponents, your favorite matches? I mean, is there anything super notable that you're like, man, that was just the best time of my life? Or, man, I wish I had more matches like that. Or, man, can I just wrestle her again?
Right. Well, we did cover them because I know that with Mia, that was one of my favorite matches. I really loved working with Mischief. I've worked with her quite a few times since ROH through Shimmer and Shine, and I've always loved working with her. Who else was I going to say? I really want to work with Melanie Cruz again. It was a lot of fun at POW, a lot of fun. And I feel like we probably would have a good opportunity at AIW since she comes there, but it just hasn't really crossed yet. What else? We really hit pretty much everything.
Yeah.
We even talked about Femme Fatales a little bit. One awesome experience I had in Japan, which not many people know of because I couldn't really say too much about it at the time because I was trying to be respectful to this guy's work. But now his exhibit is out, so who knows, whatever, I can say whatever I want. We were in Shibuya, which is like a popular, I guess, party city. It's like one of those up all night cities. I'm not like a party or anything. I'm pretty laid back most of the time, believe it or not. But Roppongi and Shibuya are like the main cities that people go to, like tourists and stuff, to go like party or whatever. So anyway, it was one of those, we did pull a couple of all-nighters because with where we lived, if you missed the train, which was at around 11:30 or midnight, you were out all night. You weren't getting back until 5 in the morning when the train started running. So there were a couple nights where I think one night we planned. We're like, oh, we're going to stay out all night. It's going to be fun. It is kind of fun, but like you're just walking around the city, and Japan is so safe. I never once felt threatened. Good. Then again, maybe it's because I live in Detroit, but I just felt great there.
Yeah.
So in the only thing that irritated me about those areas was that because there were so many tourists, they had a lot of people on the corners like hello beautiful girl. They were always like Nigerian men. It was weird. I'm like, why are you here? And they were all stand like a sore thumb. There was a Nigerian on every corner. I just say Nigerian because they had like that like from Africa accent. I don't really know where they're from. But they had they spoke English, but it was that very thick accent. They could have been like Jamaican, I don't know.
Were they super dark?
Yes, very, very dark.
Probably Nigerian.
So, I'm just guessing. I just said they were Nigerian because I'm like, well, I don't know. They're not. Yeah. So anyway, on every corner, and they would always say, "Hello, beautiful girl," and I'm just like, "Don't touch." Actually, one time I yelled at someone before because I was walking, we were standing there talking, and somebody just walked by and just did one of those because I don't know, people just think they can do that.
No.
And I think that. Turned around like, "Don't touch me," like screamed at him, and then he's like, and I know it threw him off because I'm sure most people, like Japanese women, are just like, not to be stereotypical or anything, but overall they're pretty quiet, So, and even American women, they probably just don't know what to do. They're in a foreign country, so they're like, oh, they just don't say anything. Oh, you just touched the wrong girl.
Yeah.
So, then he's walking down the street just like, don't fucking touch me, like mocking what I said. Like, whatever, just go away. You don't want none of this.
Look,
for real.
Don't make me show you my machete.
But anyway, so we're in Shibuya. This night, we actually did not plan to be out all night. It was just one of those times where, oh my gosh, look what time it is, we're not going to make the train. So we're out all night. And it was me and Serena and Jessica James. And we're walking down the street, and we see this white boy holding up an American flag behind him, and he was posing. So there's like a photo shoot going on in the middle of Shibuya, like in the middle of the street. And, we go up to it because we had just been drinking a little bit, so we're just feeling good, ballsy. So this professional photo shoot is going on, and we just walk up like, who is that? Are you American? Blah, 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 just talking to him. And it turns out he's actually Russian, but American flags are all the craze in Japan right now. It's like a fashion thing, I guess. Just so you know, if you ever want to go there, just get like American flag pants, you'll be good.
So I might have a pair. I don't know.
So one of the assistants to the photographer was actually talking to us, and we're like, we're wrestlers. I didn't say this. Somebody mentioned it. I'm not going to say who. But it's just one of those things. And then he's like, oh, really? And they're like all into wrestling. Like everyone there knows that wrestling is so respected there. Even people that don't maybe go to watch it all the time. So he's telling us about the shoot, and he told us about the Russian guy, and he pointed us out to the photographer. He's like, oh, we're doing like a photo shoot this weekend. This was maybe like the middle of the week. He's like, we're doing a photo shoot this weekend. You guys should come. Oh my gosh, it'll be great, blah, blah, blah. And he introduces us to the photographer, who is Leslie Key. Leslie Key is actually a famous photographer in Japan. Okay. He's photographed Lady Gaga, Jennifer Lopez, Christina Aguilera, like all these people. I looked him up after to make sure, like, is this guy legit? Yeah. And he is. And I'm like, okay, should we do this? And he gave us like the address, he gave me his phone number, he gave me his Line, which is like a really popular app in Japan. So I could message him on Wi-Fi. Okay. Because I couldn't text while I was there. Okay. And we're looking it up, like, should we really go? Because, I mean, we looked him up, like, he's a legit photographer. So I'm like, why not? Like, who cares? Let's just do it. So it ended up being only Jessica and I, because I believe Serena had a show to do with WNC that day. Okay. So she couldn't go, but Jessica and I went to Tokyo, which is maybe an hour from where we lived. And they had it was like a legit photo shoot, like all set up with a giant white background, all the lights. He had it wasn't just a photographer, he had it hooked up to a computer. Okay. So when he took pictures, they'd pop up immediately. He had hairdressers, makeup artists there. And we're just like, what is going on? Like, this is so weird. So he has this exhibit that he's doing called Super Love that's actually out now. And it's basically different people from all different backgrounds there's one multicolored scarf, I guess. It's a gigantic blanket almost, but it's a scarf. And it's implemented in the picture some way. And most people look like they're naked in it. And I think a lot of people were, because you can kind of see some stuff. We didn't do that, but we did the implication of it, but I was wearing shorts. Okay. It's funny because I saw the edited version, sort of. I don't have a good copy to post, but it's funny how he edited it, because I'm more curvy than that, first of all. Okay. And he edited my shorts, because I was wearing full boy shorts. Okay. He edited it to where it's so thin, where it looks like I'm wearing a thong. I'm like, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm covered is the point. So I had my hair all wild. I posted pictures of that at least. And to be different, and because I wanted to stand out, like I always do, I guess, I picked up Jessica James in a Samoan drop. So I had her on my back, and he had the scarf wrapped around her and then wrapped around my top. So I'm holding her like this, and the wind's blowing, and she's just pose on me, and I have my shorts on. I'm just standing there. My arms were so sore, my shoulders and my back. That's a legit workout. Okay. Just pick up your friend and just squat with them and hold it there. I had to hold it there for so long, and between shots, the guys would come and try to hold her up to get the weight off of me a little bit, and they don't know what they're doing. Yeah. They don't know how wrestling works. So they're holding up the wrong parts of her, and I'm like, you guys are not helping at all. I have to set her down. That was exhausting, but it was so much fun.
That's awesome. So that exhibit is out now. Yes. But in Japan.
In Japan, and he has a book, I think. Yeah. It's $100. Somebody sent me the link. I'm like, he can send me a copy. That's not gonna happen.
Let me know.
But
let me know what's on sale.
Yeah. So I saw pictures of him at his exhibit, and I do see our picture in the background, and I'm like, oh, it's up there. It's
you made it in. That's awesome.
That's such a weird thing.
That's cool.
Why does that? When does that ever happen? You know?
It doesn't. It doesn't. Just you. That's so amazing. Or are you interested in doing more? Possibly modeling or any other kind of.
It was so much fun. I would so be down for it. Yeah. But I don't know. That's not really. I guess it's not a passion of mine. So I'm not actively seeking it or anything, but it was a lot of fun, and I am just wow, I have good cheekbones. Look at that picture.
You do have good cheekbones.
Thank you, girl.
You do. So what's next for you? I mean, what are your goals? What is left for you? Is wrestling something that you think you're going to always want to do, and maybe take that next step and try to secure a contract with a major company, or are you just happy doing indie stuff? Or have you had any thoughts of maybe stepping behind the scenes even? You're doing great in the ring. What other things are you possibly interested in doing with wrestling?
When I see women that have been around for a very long time, and now they're maybe behind the scenes, or even just veteran wrestlers who are really there to guide the new girls, I really enjoy that, and I feel like I can see myself doing that in the future. As for right now, I really just want to take this as far as I can. I love traveling, and I just want to do that and wrestle while I'm doing it because best of both worlds. I had so much fun traveling to Japan. I'm going to Europe in June for Soraya Knight's promotion.
Okay.
And the dates aren't set final on that, but I will be going there. And I would love to just keep traveling and wrestling all over the world and just see how far I can take it, wherever that may be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, you've got a really good start. I mean,
Thanks.
you know, you're only a few years in, girl, and you're already traveling. You're doing all kinds of stuff, and you're really popular. And you're somebody I know that promoters really do enjoy booking because you deliver. You deliver.
Thank you.
And like I said, you were something different, and that's why I definitely wanted to do this interview. Like I've seen a million bikini models. I've seen a million tiny girls with awesome midriffs, but not, you know, maybe awesome everything else. And you're definitely a total package in my eyes anyway. And I appreciate you. And
I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks. And I'm excited for your match tonight with Jessica. I hate to date these interviews because it might not come out for a little while. But
what can you do?
Tonight, your match with Jessica, I'm sure is going to be epic. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm sober when it happens. So, is there anything else that you would like to talk about? Is there anything that you'd like to tell the fans at home more about you?
I think we covered everything, even like upcoming dates.
Yeah.
Everything.
Sweet. All right, cool, right on. Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yay, thank you. And I want to thank all of you for joining us. This was another episode of Diva Diaries. Thank you, and we will see you next time.